That metal interview.
Carl Canedy is our guest for this episode of That Metal Interview podcast, and your host James welcomes you one more time, and much appreciate your support and sharing, downloading, blah blah blah. This guy, Carl Canedy, with all due respect, he's known for his band The Rods, a band from the 80s and on. They're still active, and they opened for many bands along the way. Opened for Maiden, Ozzy, Scorpions, Def Leppard, and the list goes on, man. So now he has a band called the 450'S, and they got a brand new jam, the latest jam, a video for Flowers for Columbine. And also Mr. Canedy is a producer, and he produced a couple of albums for Anthrax and Overkill, believe it or not. And I read somewhere he turned down the job to produce Ride the Lightning for Metallica. Well, anyways, he'll talk to us about all that stuff. So let's check out the video for the 450'S, song called Flowers for Columbine. We'll be right back.
Jill found himself on the end of a rope. Pretty boy, guess he kinda lost hope. All tied up, playing thimbles and spoons. Had a sugar mama and a daddy too. Could have been me, but I'm just a coward. Could have been you, a junkie born every hour. Sweet red hell down the boys of bay. Told me mama fit to know she play. Thick black hair just to stick us for last. Couldn't see her zombie eyes behind a Gucci glass. Could have been me, but I'm just a coward. Could have been you, a junkie born every hour. Could have been me, but we're just cowards. No one here gets out alive. Darkness it turns into sunlight. No one here gets out alive. When you run out of bullets, use a straight knife. We're just cowards. Bobby traded in his 44. Went to the box up and bought a new toy. Loaded right up, went straight to the bell tower. Man, you could have hung bullets slinging for hours. Could have been me, but I'm just a coward. Could have been you, a junkie born every hour. Could have been me, but we're just cowards. No one here gets out alive. Darkness it turns into sunlight. No one here gets out alive. When you run out of bullets, use a straight knife. We're just cowards. No one here gets out alive. Darkness it turns into sunlight. No one here gets out alive. Never gonna run out of bullets. Run for your life. We're just cowards.
Flowers for Columbine is the name of the song. The name of the band is the 450'S. If you guys want to check it out and research and this and that. Also, check out his original band from the 80s, The Rods. So you got to check that out, man. Anyway, so let's go straight to the interview with Mr. Carl Canedy. And here it is. Enjoy.
How's it going in Texas?
Great. Where are you at?
I'm in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Nice. Nice area of the country. Very cool.
It's a nice area, yeah. But it's not as cool as Texas.
Yeah, there's a big music scene here, so maybe
There is.
Maybe because of that, maybe. Anyway, so thank you for making time. Appreciate that.
Oh, no, thanks for the support.
Yes, of course. New album by the 450'S. I saw the video for Flowers for Columbine. Awesome jam, man. Awesome. Congrats. And talk to us about this project if you can.
Well, Bob and Jim I've worked with before, and Rhett, the singer, I've worked with before. So we had all done projects together, and so we were all familiar. And Bob and Jim, the two brothers in 450'S, and the singer Rhett, they became friends because they would come to my studio and they kind of overlap, and they became friends and so on. So it was something we wanted to do, and Bobby, the bass player, brought us all together, and it was really something fun to do, and we recorded it live in the studio. I haven't done that in years. I record remotely for the most part. So the fact that we were able to do that live, it was incredible. And when I listened to it, Bob and I played so well together, and I couldn't make the writing session. So I showed up, they ran the songs down, I make a suggestion or two for arrangement, but very minor, and then we played the songs and we recorded them. And so I think it gave it an edge, it gave it a vibe that it wouldn't normally have had. You would have, normally I would have maybe overthought my parts or whatever and picked things apart, but it was a great experience. And of course, doing it in Miami was beautiful weather. You walk outside the studio, it's just like, it's like Texas. It's beautiful weather most of the time.
Yeah.
And so compared to where we are, and Jim's in Connecticut, and Bob's in Atlanta, and I'm up here. So anyway, that's how it came about, and we were really happy with the outcome. I'm just thrilled. And then, of course, having Jack Douglas involved. Bob got Jack Douglas involved.
Wow, very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, and it was great. And Jack Douglas had some production things he did that were very musical. I can see why he was the successful producer he's been. He was very talented.
I believe he produced some stuff for Aerosmith, or is it one of those bands?
Yeah, no, Aerosmith, John Lennon, lots of
Wow.
Cheap Trick, lots of major stuff. I mean, he was with Aerosmith forever.
Wow.
Pat Travers even, I don't know. But
Wow, what an honor. I mean, well, speaking of producers, you're a producer yourself, and we'll get to that in a bit.
okay.
Sure. So that was one of my questions. How did the band come together? But you just you kind of explained that a little bit right there. So why the name 450'S? Who came up with this name, and why that name?
Rhett came up with the name the 450'S, and I think Rhett would have to tell us, but I don't know that it has any significance per se, but it was a cool name when he came up with it, and we thought, yeah, let's go with it, like it.
You're a musician, and I'm a musician. I play a little bit of guitar myself locally, and 440 is for the tuning deal, huh? The
That's right.
universal tuning. So maybe it's got something to do with that. 450.
That's funny. I'm going to bust him about that.
450 will be a little bit sharp.
I was going to say we tuned to A440, but he's going to sing at 450.
A little bit sharp, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be that. Well, we'll find out. Hopefully one day. So talk to us about your solo band, Canedy.
Dedicated warriors, we fought the valiant fight. A gifted band of men-at-arms, we plied our craft each night. We opened up our lives to ever-swelling song. What evil trickery occurred to make it go?
You put out the album Warrior in 2020. Talk to us about that project, please.
Well, that's just coming from a rehearsal. We've got 3 new songs we recorded for the new album, and we're working on material. We're live date January 27th here in Scranton at a club called Finnegan's, and that'll be my birthday, so it'll be fun to play. If
Nice.
between COVID and the cold here, who knows? But that's what we're shooting for. It was Canedy was. They actually brought me in. Canedy was a band called TLC. That's who they were, and they had. They've reissued something on Heaven and Hell recently, and so they were doing a TV show, and their drummer just wasn't able to, because of work commitments, he wasn't able to make rehearsals, and he couldn't do the TV show. So they invited me to do the TV show, so I did that with them, and then we decided we'd start writing some material. Then it turned into sounded really good. We decided to call it Canedy once we were done.
Wow. Very cool.
So it's a very organic kind of process. But now, we're a band, and I'm really proud of it. And I think the material is great. I think it's on a par, as good as or better than the first album. So that's a good thing, because you always worry about that sophomore jinx where you just don't write.
Right.
It took you a long time to write the first album, and then you get to rush the second album. But we have no deadline, so we're doing it at our own pace.
Yeah, there you go. I've heard that before, the sophomore jinx. There you go. Hopefully it's not that.
That's right. And I mean, the sophomore jinx is basically because, you took a long time to write the first album, and then you have a very short period of time, and now you're busy. And so we don't really have that. We don't have those. Everything we do is a self-imposed deadline, and we try not to do that. So.
Well, I heard Warrior, and that's a badass thing put together right there. So congrats on that. Good stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, very talented guys.
Yeah. So we all know you for the rods, of course. There's a long list of tours. You guys opened for Maiden, Ozzy, Scorpions, Def Leppard, and the list goes on, right? How does it feel playing on those big stages, with names like those, big names?
It was very exciting those days, to do that stuff. And it's still, when we play festivals, there's nothing like a really great crowd that's tuned in for the music. And, you get a rush because there's the feedback and energy you get from the crowd. So you know yourself, when you're playing a good gig and the people are into it, doesn't matter if you're playing cover material or not. Yeah. If you're playing a cover song and you're kicking ass on it and the crowd's into it, that's why you play music, for the feedback and for the fun, the love of music. So there's nothing like it, and being on a big stage. And the other thing is, sometimes, like for me on the Judas Priest tour, I would go out every night and sit outside and watch them because I love the band. But and same with Iron Maiden. I'd come out, and a lot of times I'd be behind Clive, and he would look down at me and laugh, smile, because I was back there underneath right behind his drums. And so I watched the show every night.
Wow, what an honor, right?
Yeah, no, it was great, and it was great they invited us to do the tour. And
that's the number of the beast, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow, what an honor! And Clive is passed on. May he rest in peace. So wow, what an
really good guy.
Wow. Any stories? Any other stories you can share from those the days with the rods and these tours?
Nothing that I could share that I would want out in public. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
We had some great times, and there's some funny stories. There are always funny stories when you're on the road. You get musicians together, and so it's there's always something. And I know that one of the things when we were on the Priest tour. Now remember, Priest has their road crew. Iron Maiden told us that Priest's road crew was so bad they made them offload their stage gear from the front into the audience to take it off stage. That's how bad they were. Really? So we're on tour with Priest the first night, and I had these big road cases, big red road cases with my name and numbers on them, right? So my drum tech, we nicknamed him Machine Gun because he was militant. The guy was just laser focused. And so we walk in one day, and the first day of the tour, we walk in and we see the drums corralled by my red cases, taking up a huge amount of space. And he has all the, barricaded in drum cases all around my drums. And they're like, oh, shit, this is bad news. Yeah. And, because we knew how bad Priest's crew was, like, oh, they're going to throw us off the tour first day. And the head of their crew said, oh, we're really sorry. He goes, I respect this guy. This guy's doing his job. He's doing it the right way and totally cool and no problems. So we went from thinking we were going to get kicked off the tour to he got along well with the other crew because he was a professional and doing his job, and they respected that.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
yeah.
Wow, that's getting respect is the story there. Well, very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Not just anybody can say, you know, I opened up for Priest.
Well, Priest, they were great. Rob, you know, all those guys were great. And when we did a tour with Dio Disciples, it was about 10 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
But KK came out because, you know, friends with Ripper. Obviously, they're doing KK's Priest together.
Yeah.
But they were KK was really cool, and he was friends with everybody. Everybody knew him, but KK was a really good guy.
So which was your first big, with the rods, of course, the biggest gig, if you will, with the rods? What was the biggest first gig there?
The first gig was Broome County Arena opening for Blue Oyster Cult.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was amazing, and such a rush. Like, it really, before that we opened for Priest in Albany, but you know, that was kind of a disaster. We didn't understand monitors. We were, you know, so we didn't have a clue. However, when we played with Blue Oyster Cult, it was a little better, and the crowd went nuts, and it was great for us. And then, but then at the end of the night, or at the end of the show, I took my drumsticks and I threw them out into the crowd, like I've seen so many drummers do, right?
Yeah.
And I walk off stage and I hear, "Don't ever do that again." That's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Damn.
So now I go out and I take my drumsticks and I underhand them to somebody I can see. So,
yeah.
But at least I got to do it once. That was cool.
That's because you can poke somebody's eye, or I guess, huh? It's a lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Bobby
Bobby Rondinelli with Rainbow, when we played with them, he would do this thing where he would hit his snare drum, so you hear this like gunshot, and then he would hit his stick off the cymbal, bam, and it would go flying into the audience. And he would do that over and over, bam, flying into the audience. He got away with it.
Wow.
But I never did. I never tried it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of drummers on YouTube where they still do that. You know, they throw sticks at the people. You know, the lawsuit kind of thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
so very cool. So some people don't know you're a producer. You've produced albums for Anthrax, Overkill, right? Exciter, Hellstar. How was it working with Scott Ian, for example, and the guys in Anthrax? How was that experience?
Well, we did 3 records together, so it got tighter and better. And you know, I had a lot of respect for those guys. They were very focused. And the more we worked together, the tighter they got. Because when they came in, they were a great band, but they, you know, weren't studio savvy.
Yeah.
And so they were able to like learn and get really tight in the studio. And just phenomenal musicians. And of course, Charlie just came in, and Charlie was like a one-take guy.
Oh yeah.
Charlie came in, drums were tuned properly, and he nailed it every time.
Really?
And when he came in, he did Gung Ho in one take, blew us away.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Spreading the disease, yeah. So you got to work with Danny Loker too, huh?
Danny Loker, what a great guy. What a great guy. What a great writer, too.
Yeah. I read some stories, yeah.
Yeah, really good guy. And Danny, you know, in the early days, you know, he was out of Anthrax, but he came back and did SOD with Scott, which was a great album.
Oh, yeah.
And but I didn't... when Danny came in, I insisted he learn to play with the pick. So we played a show in Chicago a couple of years ago, 3 years ago maybe, at Reggie's, and Nuclear Assault was the headliner. The first night, I guess.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so anyway, I'm sitting at a table, and Danny's tall, right? And he comes over, and he goes, "I want to talk to you." And I was like, fuck, this guy. Danny's going to go, you know, you broke my balls years ago about playing with the pick. You know, I hated working with you. You're a jackass.
He's going to beat me up.
I was like, oh, my God, here we go. And he goes, I just wanted to thank you because you making me play with the pick changed everything for me.
Really? Wow.
I was like, oh.
What an honor. Wow.
Yeah, it was very nice. And it was just shocking, you know, because I thought I was going to get blasted, like, you know, you're a dick.
Yeah.
Going to tell me off, you know.
I never knew he played with fingers, you know. I never knew that.
Well, for bass players, it's just part of the arsenal. You know, you need to play with both.
Yeah.
You need to have the dexterity to make both of those things happen.
Yeah, of course. How about Overkill? How was it working with those guys?
You know, again, with Dee Dee and Blitz and Clyde. Clyde, wait, who's the drummer?
Was it Rat Skates or?
Rat Skates, right? And Rat. Yeah, and just great guys, you know, really great guys. Great to work with. I just saw Blitz. I played a show with a band in Chicago opening for Metal Allegiance, and Bobby was the same guy. Blitz was the same guy that, you know, I worked with years ago. Just a sweetheart.
It's the same people, just different year, right?
No, he's just a really good guy. So.
Wow, I got James lined up for the guy from Hellstar. I got him lined up for an interview soon. So
good.
You work with those guys too, huh?
I did. So when you see son, tell my son I said hi. Tell him Dad says hi. Okay,
I will. I'll do that.
They call me. I call them son, and they call me Dad because they were young. You know, when I came to Texas to work with them, they were young, and the record company. I wasn't planning on producing that album. I was supposed to go as just a liaison with the label.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what happened. I went there, but then, of course, it was clear that, you know, they needed, and I helped them in pre-production and whatever. But they're great. I mean, I don't know the guys in the band other than Larry and James, but those guys, they're freaking great guys. It's so talented. I'm so glad they're still kicking ass.
Oh, yeah. So another thing I read about, Metallica opened for the Rods in the early days. Is this so?
They did back when they were, you know, starting out. And
really? Wow.
Matter of fact, Lars borrowed my pedals.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, what an honor.
But he doesn't, you know, he doesn't need to borrow them anymore.
Yeah, yeah, of course. They just blew up, as everybody knows. Wow, what an honor! I mean, you've been through a lot. You've been through a lot of different adventures and stories and gigs, and you know a lot of people. You know, producer wise, you know, on stage as a musician, and wow. So how was I'm a huge Metallica fan. How were they? They were kids, of course.
You know, I got to hang out with Metallica a little bit in Portland at my friend Victoria's, and then in LA when doing Possessed, you know, they were friends, and so went to not James, Kurt, his house, his parents' house, and they hung out a little bit, and they were, you know, they're cool. You know, I mean, you have to remember those guys were blowing up. That's a lot to handle when you're young, like when you're just. It's everything. The world is exploding for you. But I got to hang out with Lars in France. There's some cool pictures of us. But we hung out there, and you know, those guys were cool.
Wow.
And you know, but it was interesting to hang with them, especially like we were hanging in the crowd, and it was interesting to see how they were just on their way. Like they weren't so big they couldn't do that, but you could tell the writing was on the wall that they were going to be huge.
Really, you could see it in the aura, I guess. Or
you know,
yeah.
You know, the Ride the Lightning album was blowing up for them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've read some stories there. Yeah. Wow, it's just incredible how they blew up, and I'm not sure they were prepared. But
no, I mean they weren't, and well, I mean, you know, they were cool. They were cool. I mean, we did interviews. They were in France. I think we were at the hotel, and they were at the same hotel. But you know, those guys they definitely had their share of let's drink while they were young, and let's get drunk. And they did that. They did that pretty well.
Wow. So give us your favorite gig and your worst gig so far.
The worst gig, I'll tell you that first. The worst gig was when we played in New York with Exciter. We opened for Exciter in New York.
Nice.
Worst freaking gig because Dave's amp broke down for like 10 minutes or so.
Wow.
And it was just the worst gig ever. And it was still fun. The audience was cool, but it was just a crap gig for us. And the best gig, that's a tough one because there's so many.
There's so many of those.
So many great gigs, you know.
Wow, just tough to
So-
pick one, yeah. So, when can we see the 450s on the road? Maybe in Texas or so.
I love to play with the 450s. I would love to be on the road with the 450s, play these songs live. We're hoping, but COVID shut everything down, so the odds of us getting out anytime soon is slim. So I don't know, but it would be great to have it. So if you have promoters in Texas, they should book the 450s, and they should book Canedy, and they should book the Rods.
Right? You got some good bands right there. Oh, yeah.
Rods, we've always had great gigs in Texas. Yeah,
So
hardcore fans there.
Oh, yeah, this is the crazy, crazy state, for sure. So give us an update on the Rods. What's going on there?
Yesterday I just finished the title track to Shockwave, a new album, and we are, I'm just doing drum tracks now. I have eight more to do, so we're on our way to completing this album. We have a ways to go. We have to work on it, but we're doing well. The material's written and it's really good. So there will be another Rods album called Shockwave.
Oh, wow. There you go, an exclusive right there. Thanks for the exclusive.
Yeah, and Canedy is working on material, and we have 3 songs now that are recorded, and probably going to release at least one single soon, next few months.
Wow, so how do you juggle all these, your three bands, right?
3 bands, plus I have a band, Colossus, from the 70s, first band I ever recorded an album with. We are almost done. I just finished my last drum track last week for that album, and that's going to be done.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that one. Wow, very cool. Wow, a lot of stuff to look forward to from Carl Canedy. Would you like to send a message to your fans listening to this podcast?
Yes, I mean, I always want to say that whenever we're playing live, we've made a lot of friends, and we love meeting, any fans. So don't be shy. Sometimes fans are hesitant to come up and talk to the band, but don't be afraid. We have met some people who, I've met my idols, and some of them have been jerks to me, but we're not like that. We love meeting everybody, so don't be afraid to come up, say hi, and don't be afraid that we'll be jerks to you, because we like meeting people. So as long as you come up and you say hi and you're nice and you don't tell us we suck, then we're gonna be nice.
Right. Very cool. Thank you, Carl. Thank you for making time, and we hope to see you on the road soon, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Keep making some good rock. Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow, what a career, man. So many awesome stories, so many rock stories, so many metal stories, and a very well-known producer, of course, that we all have learned about. Those of us that did not know who Mr. Carl Canedy was. And those of you who know who he is and knew who he was, there you go, man. Straight from the man. So we appreciate, thank you, Mr. Carl. Thank you, Mr. Canedy, for making time to talk to us on our podcast here. And we thank you guys for listening and downloading all these episodes and sharing, right? So thank you guys. And don't forget to keep it metal.
That metal interview.